Welcome along to your deep dive. Great to have you with us. Today, we at Tips Moto are really digging into this upcoming London Derby, Arsenal versus Brentford.
Yeah, it's a big one. We've got all the latest info you shared, team news, previews, the lot. Our mission here at Tipsmoto is to break it all down for you ahead of the game at the Emirates.
Absolutely. We've been, crunching those numbers.
Exactly, getting you fully prepped.
And it's an interesting time for this fixture, isn't it? You've got Arsenal absolutely buzzing after that, well, frankly, incredible 3-0 Champions League win over Real Madrid. Huge confidence boost.
Massive. But then you have Brentford, looking pretty steady mid-table, just wanting to, finish the season well.
Right, so let's unpack that a bit.
Mhm.
How might their current form impact things this weekend?
Okay, so Arsenal first.
Real-
That European night was something else. Big high.
Definitely.
But then there's the Premier League reality. 11 points behind Liverpool, only 7 games left. The title looks pretty distant now, doesn't it?
It really does. A very different picture domestically. But you have to say, their home form, particularly in Europe, has been just immense. Unbeaten at the Emirates in the Champions League this season.
Yeah, that's a fortress right now. And they are comfortable in the top 4 in the league. I mean, 10 points clear of City in 6th. So that Champions League place for next season feels quite secure.
Which leads us to think about rotation, right? Especially with that huge second leg against Real Madrid just around the corner.
Exactly what we're thinking at Tipsmoto. Mikel Arteta. He's got to be considering changes for this Brentford game, surely. Needs fresh legs for Madrid.
You'd think so.
Keep them.
Momentum,
Yeah.
yes, but manage the squad. So, who might get a rest? We've been looking at this closely.
Well, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, they both picked up knocks in Madrid. Minor, apparently, but still.
You wouldn't risk them, would you? Not with that game coming up.
Probably not. So this could be a chance for others. Maybe Ethan Nwaneri gets a look in. Jorginho?
Jorginho seems likely.
Yeah.
Ben White, Tierney could come back in.
Yeah, White, Tierney, Leandro Trossard, perhaps. Even Raheem Sterling maybe gets some minutes. It's a real test of their depth.
It really is. And that's before we even mention the injury list they already have.
Oh, yeah, quite a few out. Gabriel Jesus with his knee, Kai Havertz hamstring, Takahiro Tomiyasu knee.
Gabriel Magalhaes too, another hamstring, and Ricardo Calafiori with a knee issue. That's significant.
Definitely limits Arteta's options, especially defensively, perhaps.
Okay, and their recent league form. Bit up and down, wasn't it? LDDWWD.
Yeah, a bit inconsistent domestically. Overall form, including Europe, is better. DDWWDW, ending with that big Madrid win, of course.
Right. Okay, let's switch focus. Brentford.
Brentford, yeah, solid mid-table side, we know that. But our analysis at Tipsmoto shows they've been, well, a bit inconsistent lately.
Especially at home. That's the striking thing. 9 games without a win there.
Yeah, that's a tough run. Thomas Frank will want to sort that out, even though this one's away. They lost their last away game, too, 2-1 at Newcastle.
True. But they are well clear of relegation trouble, aren't they? And realistically, top 7 looks a bit out of reach.
Seems unlikely, yeah. So for them, we at Tipsmoto think it's really about finishing strongly, building some momentum for next season, maybe.
And maybe trying to break a bit of a bad run against Arsenal specifically.
Ah, yes, the head-to-head. Not great reading for Brentford fans recently. Haven't beaten Arsenal since the opening day of the 21-22 season, that 2-0 win.
Feels like a while ago now. And Arsenal beat them 3-1 earlier this season.
Exactly. So history isn't really on their side for this one. It'll be a big ask.
What about their team news? Any boosts for them?
Well, Rico Henry is back, which is good news for them, but still quite a few missing. Fabio Carvalho, shoulder. Igor Thiago, knee. Josh Da Silva, also knee.
So still some key players sidelined. Anyone close to returning?
Sounds like Gustavo Nunes and Aaron Hickey are getting nearer, which is positive for the longer term, but probably not for this weekend.
Okay, so lineup-wise for Brentford, what are we thinking at Tipsmoto? Stick with the 5 that drew with Chelsea.
Seems probable, yeah. Mostly unchanged. But there's a potential tweak we're considering. Maybe Vitaly Janelt comes into midfield, perhaps for Yarmolyuk.
Ah, for a bit more defensive solidity perhaps, especially away at Arsenal.
Exactly. If Arsenal do rotate their attackers, maybe Brentford look to be a bit more compact, more difficult to break down. It's a tactical option Frank might well consider.
Makes sense. And their form, overall, similar sort of inconsistency.
Pretty much, yeah. Premier League. WDL, WLD, overall exactly the same pattern. WDL, LWL, LD, so, Hard to predict which Brentford turns up sometimes.
Okay, so bringing all that analysis together,
Hmm.
we at Tipsmodo have put together some anticipated starting 11s, bearing in mind all those potential rotations and injuries.
Yeah, these are, our best guess based on the info for Arsenal. Riot in goal, then maybe White, Saliba, Kiwior, and Tierney across the back.
Possible. Midfield,
We're thinking Odegaard, Jorginho, maybe Marino gets a start. And then up top, if Saka and others are rested, could be Nuaneri, Trossard, Sterling.
a very different looking attack, potentially. Depends heavily on Arteta's priorities with that Madrid game.
Absolutely. And for Brentford, we reckon Flecken in goal, back four, Odger, Collins, Vandenberg, Lewis Potter,
Right. Midfield,
Norgard, maybe Journal, like we discussed, and Mbeumo. Then Damsgaard and Shade out wide, perhaps, supporting Wissa up front.
okay. So the big takeaway then. What's the key insight from us at Tipsmodo?
Well, look, Arsenal at home, strong record, Brentford's poor record against them.
Yeah.
You have to lean towards an Arsenal win, don't you?
On paper, yes. But that potential rotation for Arsenal is the big but, isn't it? It does add uncertainty, gives Brentford maybe a sliver of a chance if Arsenal aren't quite clicking with a changed lineup.
Exactly. It could level the playing field a bit. So that's why we at Tipsmodo are expecting, still a competitive London derby. Arsenal should have the edge, but Brentford will be up for it, looking to spoil the party, especially if they sense an opportunity.
It's a derby, after all. Anything can happen, as they say. Right, well, that's your deep dive into Arsenal versus Brentford, powered by the analysis from us here at Tipsmodo. We hope that gives you a really good handle on what to look out for.
Yeah, remember, our team at Tipsmodo is always digging into the data, looking for those insights.
And for even more detail, and crucially, our expert betting tips for this match and all the others, you need to head over to our website.
That's right. Visit us at www.tipsmodo.co.ke. All our analysis, predictions, tips, it's all there to help you make informed choices.
Couldn't say it better myself. Get the edge at www.tipsmodo.co.ke. Enjoy the game, everyone.